The Office of the Assessor has begun enrolling assessment value reductions to reflect fire damage to improvements in land that occurred due to the Palisades and Eaton wildfires. These disaster relief enrollments will automatically generate mailed notices of assessed value change for wildfire-affected property owners. Each impacted property may receive multiple notices, depending on the complexity of the assessment. If you have received a notice of assessed value change, or expect to receive a notice due to a misfortune or calamity claim filed with the assessor, you will likely have questions about the derivation of the values on the notice. This presentation will explain the value reductions contained in your notice and will answer questions many property owners may have. Let's begin. At the top of the notice, you will clearly see a header identifying the notice as coming from the County of Los Angeles Office of the Assessor. In addition, the property owner's name, mailing address, situs address, and assessor ID number are also identified. We know that many property owners have experienced a change in their mailing address. If the mailing address indicated on the top left side of the notice is no longer valid, please visit our website to complete the change of mailing address form. In the middle of the notice, you will see the notice identified in bold lettering as Notice of Assessed Value Change. Below this is an explanation for the change. It indicates that this change is due to a misfortune or calamity, disaster value correction, resulting in a corrected assessment roll for roll year 2024. Keep in mind that roll year 2024 began July 1st, 2024, and ends June 30th, 2025. A roll year or fiscal year for purposes of property taxes is not the same as a calendar year. This is important in understanding the proration applied to the assessed values. Let's begin a review of the value section of the notice. The value section shows comparisons between your prior 2024 roll value and the new adjusted 2024 roll value. The roll values are broken out between land and improvements. If there is a homeowner exemption in place on the property, this is indicated as well. The homeowner exemption, if in place, will be applied to the new and prior roll values as seen in the example. In addition, below the values themselves, the assessor's district office for your property is shown. The contact phone number for your district office is listed to provide you direct assistance for any additional questions you may have. Our offices are open to the public, Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. Now on the right side of the value section is the net change column. This column shows the net change or difference in values between the original or prior roll values and the new roll values after disaster adjustment. A common question and concern will be, how was my reduction determined? How was the net change in value as a result of the disaster arrived at by the assessor? Let's explore in detail how the reduction to your roll value was determined. The exhibit shows a timeline of the 2024 to 2025 tax year, as well as two gray boxes with values below the timeline. The gray box on the left reflects the 2024 to 2025 assessments before adjustment for the disaster. The gray box on the right shows the assessment disaster adjustments for 2024 to 2025. The percentage of adjustment is determined by the amount of damage the property sustained. In this example, the property's improvement value was reduced 100%, and the property's land assessment was reduced by 35%. For this example, the property suffered complete 100% damage to the structures on the property. Keep in mind, percentages used for damage adjustment will vary depending on actual damages sustained by a particular property. The percentages shown in this example are for demonstration only. Once again, disaster properties sustained different levels of damage, and thus their percentage of reduction as applied by the assessor will vary. The percentage of damage on individual properties was acquired by the assessor from different sources, but mostly from state fire reports and aerial photographs. In those instances where there was not a report of damage, the assessor will rely on the damage reported on the claim for disaster relief, submitted by the property owner to the assessor. The final adjusted 2024 to 2025 tax assessment, shown in the gray box at the bottom of the exhibit, is prorated and a blended assessment. Let's take a look at how this proration in the final adjusted value was arrived at. Billing for fiscal year 2024 is from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2025. Due to the January wildfires, a reduction was applied for the period from January 1st, 2025 through June 30th, 2025. As a result, the disaster reduction for the 2024 to 2025 assessment is prorated for that remaining portion of the tax year after the disaster. The proration percentage is 50%. The 50% proration reflects that half of the tax year still remained after the disaster. This will also take into account that the first half of the 2024 to 2025 tax year, the property's value was not affected by disaster. The 50% proration can be seen in the middle part of the exhibit and is labeled 50% regular and 50% reduced. The adjusted 2024 to 2025 property taxes then will reflect a blended assessment. 50% of regular non-reduced assessment plus 50% reduced assessment. The regular portion reflecting the first half of the 2024 to 2025 tax year, when the property was unaffected by the disaster, and the reduced portion, reflecting the second half of the tax year when the property was diminished and thus required reduction. Property owners can expect to see the full disaster reduction, without proration, applied to the 2025 to 2026 fiscal year property taxes. In this exhibit, you can see the full reduction is shown in the gray box. There is no proration because the 2025 to 2026 fiscal tax year begins July 1st, 2025, and ends June 30th, 2026. Unless the destroyed or damaged improvements on the property are rebuilt or partially restored during this period. The property remains damaged for the full fiscal year, and thus no proration is required. Property owners that have additional questions about their notice or disaster claim should reach out to our specialized staff at a local regional assessor's office. The two regional offices for the Palisades and Eaton fires are shown along with their phone numbers. The assessor's website has additional resources including fact sheets, FAQs, videos, and forums addressing disaster relief. Please check our website regularly for news and outreach events. The Los Angeles County Office of the Assessor is committed to assisting constituents in these challenging times. We thank you for taking the time to visit our webpage and view our resources, and we hope this video has helped answer many of your questions and concerns.